You think that voice deserves to stand on my stage? The words cut through the Jefferson Concert Hall like a blade through silk. Damian Cross, three-time Grammy winner, perfect teeth, tailored black suit, stood at center stage, one hand gesturing dismissively toward the girl in the third row. His microphone caught every syllable. 2,000 people heard it. Zara Williams, 11 years old, sat perfectly still. Her Sunday dress, the good one, navy blue with white collar, suddenly felt too small. Around her, the youth choir audition audience shifted. Whispers rippled. A few laughed. Most just stared. Damian's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Come on up here. Sing something. Alone." Zara stood slowly. Her braids swung against her shoulders. She didn't look down, didn't look away. Her gaze held something the audience couldn't name yet, something patient, something earned. What would you do if your gift became your weapon? 3 weeks earlier, Zara had been washing dishes when her mother showed her the flyer. Damian Cross Youth Excellence Auditions. Mama read aloud, her voice careful. Open to all students ages 10 to 18. Winner performs at the Winter Gala Concert. She set the paper on the counter between a stack of bills and a half-empty jar of instant coffee. Their apartment in South Memphis had thin walls. Through them, Zara could hear Mrs. Chen's television and the couple upstairs arguing in Spanish. Damian Cross lived in a different world entirely. His childhood home, a restored Victorian in Germantown, had appeared in Architectural Digest, 6 bathrooms. A music room with acoustics designed by a studio engineer from Nashville. His father was a circuit court judge. His mother curated art at the Brooks Museum. By age 9, Damian had studied under 3 private vocal coaches. By 12, he'd performed at the Orpheum. At 16, a recording contract. At 24, he was already being called Memphis's golden voice. Zara had learned music in a different room. New Hope Baptist Church stood on a corner lot where the sidewalk cracked and weeds pushed through. The building was 70 years old. The piano was older. Every Sunday, Zara sat in the third pew with her younger brothers, Marcus and David, while Mama sang in the choir. The hymnal Zara held was her grandmother's, pages soft as cloth, spine broken, margins filled with pencil notations. The notations weren't words. They were numbers, symbols, tiny marks that tracked intervals and pitch relationships. Her grandmother had been a music teacher before the schools consolidated and her position disappeared. She'd taught Zara to hear the space between notes, to recognize when a chord wanted to resolve, to feel the difference between major and minor before knowing their names. Zara never studied music theory. She absorbed it the way some children absorb a second language, by living inside it. At church, she noticed when the pianist played a B-flat instead of B natural in the third verse of His Eye is on the Sparrow. She heard the moment Brother Jerome's baritone dropped a half-step sharp during communion. She knew the sanctuary's acoustics better than she knew her own face, where sound bloomed, where it died, which corners swallowed the low frequencies. She never mentioned any of it, but Mama noticed. Mama always noticed. One evening after Wednesday prayer service, Mama found Zara humming in the church basement while folding chairs. Not humming a melody, humming harmony to a song that wasn't playing. Complex harmony. The kind that required hearing 3 other parts simultaneously and finding the space between them. "Baby," Mama said quietly, "how long you been doing that?" Zara shrugged. "Doing what?" "Hearing things that aren't there." Zara stopped folding. The chair legs scraped against linoleum. "They are there, Mama. They're just under the other sounds." Mama sat down on a folded chair, still holding a church bulletin. For a long moment, she just looked at her daughter. This girl who packed her brother's lunches, who helped with homework. who never complained about their neighborhood or their apartment or the fact that her winter coat was 2 years too small. "You want to audition?" Mama said. Not a question. "I don't know." "Yes, you do." Zara finally met her mother's eyes. "He won't pick me." "Maybe not, but you'll still sing." The audition application required a recommendation letter. Zara asked Sister Claudette, the church choir director. Sister Claudette was 67, had taught music in public schools for 30 years before retiring, and had a voice that could still make the stained glass vibrate. She wrote 3 sentences. "Zara Williams possesses perfect pitch and exceptional tonal memory. Her ear is the finest I have encountered in 40 years of teaching. She should be given every opportunity to develop her gift." She didn't mention that Zara had never taken a formal voice lesson, didn't mention the worn hymnal or the pencil notations, or the way Zara could stand in the back of the sanctuary and identify which microphone was feeding back. Didn't mention that the girl who looked so small and quiet had a voice that could fill the church without a microphone, not by force, but by precision. The application also required a recording. Zara used her mother's phone in their living room while her brothers watched cartoons. She sang "His Eye is on the Sparrow," a cappella, 1 take. Mama uploaded it at the library because their home internet was too slow. They never expected a response. But 3 days later, an email arrived with the Jefferson Concert Hall logo. Zara had been selected as one of 40 finalists. The email included performance details, dress code requirements, and 1 additional note in bold. Masterclass observation. Finalists will observe Damian Cross's vocal masterclass before final auditions. Attendance mandatory. Mama ironed Zara's navy dress twice. Marcus asked if they could come watch. David wanted to know if there'd be food. Zara said nothing. She just held the hymnal in her lap during the bus ride downtown, her thumb tracing the pencil marks her grandmother had made 30 years ago. She didn't know yet that those marks would matter, that everything she'd learned in a cracked sidewalk church would be tested in a concert hall with perfect acoustics and 2,000 witnesses. She only knew she could hear things others couldn't, and that sometimes being heard required more than just a voice. The masterclass had been scheduled for 2 hours before the auditions. Damian Cross stood on the Jefferson stage in rehearsal clothes, black joggers, fitted white tee, designer sneakers that cost more than Zara's family spent on groceries in a month. Behind him, a grand piano gleamed under stage lights. 40 finalists sat in the first 5 rows. Zara was in row 3, seat 12. She'd arrived early. Most of the other kids came in groups, laughing, comparing notes on their songs. A blonde girl 2 seats over had a vocal coach whispering last-minute advice. A boy in the front row wore a blazer with a private academy crest. Zara sat with the hymnal in her lap. Damian paced the stage, talking about breath support and diaphragmatic control in a tone that made every word sound like a gift. He demonstrated a run, melismatic, showy, technically clean. Several kids clapped. Then he stopped pacing. His eyes scanned the audience and landed on Zara. "You, in the blue dress." Zara looked up. "You're one of the finalists?" His smile was bright, sharp. "What are you planning to sing?" "His Eye is on the Sparrow." Someone in the back snickered. Damian's eyebrows rose. "A hymn. How traditional." He stepped to the edge of the stage. "Tell you what, since you're here, let's make this a teaching moment. Come up. Sing the first verse. Alone. Let's see what we're working with." The room went quiet. Zara closed the hymnal, stood. Her fingers left small prints on the worn cover. She walked down the aisle, her footsteps soundless on carpet, climbed the stage stairs. The lights were hotter than she'd expected, brighter. Damian handed her a microphone. "Whenever you're ready." He stepped back, arms crossed, waiting. Zara's right index finger tapped against her thigh, once, twice, 3 times. A rhythm only she could hear, a habit from years of counting measures in her head. She lifted the microphone, and the room held its breath. The video hit social media before Zara even left the building. Someone in the audience had recorded it. 37 seconds. Damien's smirk, Zara's silence, the way he'd waved her off the stage after just 8 bars. "That's enough, thank you," he'd said, his voice dripping with dismissal. The camera caught Zara nodding once, walking back to her seat. It caught the other kids looking away. By evening, the video had 4,000 views. By morning, 40,000. The comments split down the middle. "He's right. She's not ready for this level." "Did you hear her? She was perfect. He didn't even let her finish. Why would she audition with a church song? This is a professional competition. That's Damien Cross. He knows talent when he hears it." Zara didn't see any of it. Her mother kept the phone in her purse during dinner, but at Booker T. Washington High School on Monday, Zara felt the shift. Kids who'd never spoken to her suddenly had opinions. A girl from her English class stopped her in the hallway. "You're the one from the video." Zara nodded. "Why didn't you sing something better?" Zara didn't answer. She went to class, sat in the back, opened her notebook, tried to focus on algebra while whispers floated around her like smoke. At lunch, Marcus found her in the library. He was in 8th grade, skinny, always hungry. He sat down across from her with a bag of chips. "Kids are saying Damien Cross is right, that you embarrassed yourself." "Maybe." "You don't believe that." Zara turned a page in her textbook. "Doesn't matter what I believe." "You gonna quit?" She looked up. "Did I say that?" Marcus grinned. "No, you didn't." The final audition was still scheduled for Friday evening. The Jefferson Concert Hall had released a statement. "All finalists will have equal opportunity to perform. Selections will be made based on vocal technique, stage presence, and artistic merit." But 2 days later, another email arrived. New rules. Each finalist would now be evaluated by a panel of 3 judges, all selected by Damien's management team. Performance time reduced from 2 minutes to 90 seconds. And one additional note. Finalists must prepare a song from the approved classical or contemporary repertoire list. No religious or folk music will be permitted. Sister Claudette read the email twice when Mama showed it to her after Wednesday service. "They're changing the rules to box her out," she said quietly. "Can they do that?" "They just did." Mama looked at Zara. "Baby, you don't have to. I'll pick a different song." "You've got 3 days." "I know." Sister Claudette set her reading glasses on the piano. "What song are you thinking?" Zara walked to the piano bench, sat. Her fingers touched the keys, middle C, then E, then G. A simple triad. She let it ring in the empty sanctuary. The sound traveled up to the vaulted ceiling, hung there, faded slowly. "Something with a high B-flat," Zara said. Sister Claudette's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Because he can't hit it clean. I've heard his recordings. He strains at A natural, pushes air, loses resonance. And you can?" Zara played the note, held it, let it die. "Yes, ma'am." The older woman smiled, small, knowing, sharp. "Then we'd better get to work." Thursday afternoon. New Hope Baptist had a piano problem. Brother Malcolm, who tuned instruments for 3 churches and the community college, stood in the sanctuary shaking his head. The upright piano, donated in 1987, refinished twice, played at every service for 38 years, had developed a rattle in the middle register. He'd been working on it for an hour. "D above middle C is flat," he muttered, adjusting a pin with a tuning hammer. "Maybe a quarter tone." Zara was sitting in the third pew, supposedly doing homework. She looked up. "It's 35 cents flat." Brother Malcolm turned. "What?" "35 cents. A little more than a quarter tone." He stared at her, then played the note, played a tuning fork, played the note again. His phone had a tuner app. He opened it. The needle hovered at -34 cents. Silence dropped like a stone into water. 0.4 seconds of absolute quiet where Brother Malcolm just looked at this 11-year-old girl with algebra homework in her lap. "How did you—" "The E above it is 12 cents sharp," Zara said. "And the F is almost perfect, maybe 2 cents high." Brother Malcolm played them, checked his tuner. She was right. All of them. He set down his tuning hammer, walked over to the pew, sat down heavily. "Sister Claudette know about this?" "About what?" "Child, you got perfect pitch." "Not approximate, not good relative pitch. Perfect." He wiped his forehead with a handkerchief. "How long you been able to do this?" Zara shrugged. "I don't know. Always? And nobody thought to mention it? It's not a big deal." "Not a—" He stopped. Laughed once. Sharp. "Baby girl, you know how rare that is? Like 1 in 10,000 people. Maybe less." He stood, paced to the piano, back to the pew. "Does that boy know? Damian Cross?" "No, sir." "Good. Don't tell him." Brother Malcolm picked up his tools. "Keep that card close. You'll need it." Sister Claudette arrived 20 minutes later for Zara's practice session. Brother Malcolm was still there, retuning the entire piano. He told her what happened. She nodded slowly. "I already knew," she said. "And you didn't say anything?" "Wasn't my place to say." "Was hers." They both looked at Zara. She was back to algebra, pencil moving across the page. Sister Claudette pulled sheet music from her bag. "We're doing O mio babbino caro, Puccini. It's on their approved list. High B flat at the end if you take the optional cadenza." "I listened to it last night," Zara said. "Renee Fleming's version, and Maria Callas, and the one from that movie with the British lady." "What did you notice?" "Fleming breathes before the climax. Callas doesn't. The phrasing changes everything." Sister Claudette smiled, set the sheet music on the piano. "Sing it for me." "No accompaniment." Zara stood, closed her eyes, found the starting pitch in her head, G sharp above middle C. Began. The Italian rolled out uncertain at first. Her pronunciation was decent, but not native. But the voice. The voice was something else entirely. It started small, controlled, each note placed with the precision of a jeweler setting stones. The melodic line curved and swelled, no vibrato on the sustained notes, just pure tone, crystalline, suspended. Then the climax. The phrase that required the high B-flat. Zara took no breath, just opened her throat and let the note ring, full, supported, zero strain. It filled the sanctuary, bounced off the high ceiling, made the stained glass hum. Brother Malcolm stopped tuning, just held his hammer and listened. When Zara finished, the silence that followed was different. Heavier, the kind that follows lightning. Sister Claudette stood slowly. "Tomorrow night you sing it exactly like that. You hear me?" "Yes, ma'am." "And when he realizes what you just did, because he will realize, you stay humble. You stay quiet. You let the sound speak." Zara nodded. Outside, Memphis evening traffic hummed. Inside, the piano's D above middle C finally rang true. Friday morning, the Jefferson Concert Hall posted the performance order. Zara was number 37 out of 40 finalists, last slot before the final 3. The email included one more detail. Damian Cross will provide live commentary after each performance. Mama read it during her lunch break at the hospital where she worked registration. She called Sister Claudette. They're setting her up. I know. What do we do? We let her sing. At school, Zara kept her head down. The video from Monday had reached 200,000 views. Someone had made a reaction video. Another person had auto-tuned her 8 bars and posted it as a joke. The comments were worse now. More personal. She doesn't belong there. Damian's trying to teach her something. She's too proud to learn. Why is she even still competing? In the bathroom between classes, 2 girls from the drama club were fixing their makeup. They didn't see Zara in the last stall. I heard she's singing opera now, one said. She doesn't even speak Italian. It's embarrassing. She should withdraw. Zara waited until they left, washed her hands, looked at herself in the mirror. The navy dress was hanging in her locker, wrapped in dry cleaning plastic that Mama had saved from someone else's clothes. Her hair was already braided. She'd done it herself at 5 that morning, sitting on the bathroom floor while Marcus and David slept. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Just withdraw. Save yourself the embarrassment. She deleted it. Another one came. You're making black people look bad. Delete. Damian Cross is a professional. You're nobody. Zara turned off her phone, put it in her backpack. The hallway was emptying. 5th period starting soon. She had English, then history, then 2 study halls, then home, then the concert hall. 6 hours. She pulled the hymnal from her backpack, opened to a random page. Her grandmother's pencil marks stared back. Numbers and symbols tracking relationships between sounds, a language no one else in this building could read. Zara traced one notation with her finger, pressed hard enough to feel the indent in the paper. Then she closed the book, went to class, said nothing. The silence before a storm is never empty. It's full of pressure, full of weight, full of the inevitable. The Jefferson Concert Hall filled slowly. 7 p.m. Doors opened at 6:30. Families arrived in clusters, parents with cameras, siblings in Sunday clothes, a few professional photographers positioning themselves near the stage. The finalists gathered backstage in a green room that smelled like hairspray and nerves. Zara sat in a folding chair near the back wall. Mama was in the audience, 5th row center. Marcus and David were with her. Sister Claudette had come too, though she'd said nothing when they arrived, just squeezed Zara's shoulder once and found a seat. Number 12 was performing when the door opened. A woman entered, mid-50s, silver hair pulled back, wearing a conservatory staff badge. She scanned the room, found Zara. Zara Williams? Yes, ma'am. Come with me, please. Several kids looked up. Zara followed the woman into a smaller room, an office with filing cabinets and posters from past seasons. The woman closed the door. Didn't sit. I'm Dr. Helen Voss. I teach at the Memphis Conservatory. She paused. I need to ask you something directly. Who trained you? Zara blinked. Sister Claudette, at my church. Before her. My grandmother. She taught me to read. I don't mean reading music. I mean vocal training, technique, breath control, resonance. Dr. Voss stepped closer. I reviewed your audition recording, the one you submitted 3 weeks ago. That voice has formal training, classical training, years of it. No, ma'am, just church. Church doesn't teach you to transition registers without a break. Church doesn't teach you to sustain a pianissimo high A-flat for 6 seconds with 0 wavering. Dr. Peter Voss pulled out her phone, played a recording. Zara's voice filled the small office, the audition tape, his eye is on the sparrow, the section where she'd floated a soft high note over the final verse. That, Dr. Voss said, is technique. Someone taught you that. Zara's jaw tightened. My grandmother. What was her name? Dorothy Williams. Dr. Voss went very still. Dorothy Williams, who taught at Douglas High School in the 70s? Yes, ma'am. Dorothy Williams, who studied at Juilliard? Who sang at Carnegie Hall before she came back to Memphis? Zara nodded slowly. Dr. Voss sat down in the desk chair, ran a hand through her silver hair. I saw her perform once. 1978. She sang Mimi in La Bohème with the Memphis Opera. I was 16. It changed my life. She looked up at Zara. That woman was world class. She could have sung anywhere. Why did she stop? She got pregnant with my mama. Scholarships disappeared. Opportunities closed. Zara's voice was quiet. She came home, taught high school music until the district cut the program. Then she taught at church. And she trained you until she died. I was 7. The office was silent except for the muffled sound of applause from the auditorium. Number 13 must have finished. Dr. Voss stood. Does Damien Cross know any of this? No, ma'am. Good. Keep it that way until you're on that stage. She moved to the door, paused. Your grandmother. I never forgot her voice. The way she could make a phrase breathe. The way she found colors in notes that other singers didn't know existed. She looked at Zara. I hear her in you. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're about to walk into a room full of people who've already decided who you are. Show them what your grandmother taught you. Not for them, for her. Dr. Voss opened the door, left. Zara stood alone in the office. Through the walls, she heard another finalist singing, nervous, pitchy, stopping and starting. She heard Damien's voice offering critique, his tone patient but edged with judgment. She closed her eyes, took a breath the way her grandmother had taught her, low, deep, filling the space between her ribs. Then she walked back to the green room. 36 performers down, 4 to go. Number 35 was a tenor from Briarcrest Christian School. He sang Nessun Dorma with impressive power and a crack on the high B. Damien praised his courage, suggested more breath support. Polite applause. Number 36 was a soprano who'd been taking private lessons since age 6. She sang Pai Hizu with technical precision and zero soul. Damien called it admirably controlled. Stronger applause. Then the stage manager called Zara's number. She walked from the green room through the backstage corridor. Her footsteps were silent on concrete. The navy dress swished against her knees. She carried nothing. No sheet music, no water bottle, no good luck charm. Just her grandmother's hymnal, tucked into the small pocket Mama had sewn into the dress lining. The weight of it pressed against her ribs. The stage was bright, 2,000 seats, maybe 1,800 filled. She could see Mama in the 5th row, hands clasped. Marcus gave a small wave. Sister Claudette sat perfectly still. Damien Cross stood at the judge's table, microphone in hand. He smiled when he saw her, the same smile from Monday's masterclass. Zara Williams, he said, his voice carrying through the hall's sound system. Welcome back. I see you've decided to continue. A few scattered laughs. What will you be singing for us tonight? O mio babbino caro. His eyebrows rose. Puccini. Ambitious. He glanced at the other judges, a voice teacher from the university, a choir director from one of the private schools. That piece requires significant technical maturity. The final phrase particularly has a high B-flat that even professional sopranos struggle with. He turned back to Zara. Are you sure you want to attempt that? Yes, sir. You understand that if you can't reach the note cleanly, it's better to take it down an octave? No shame in knowing your limitations. Zara's fingers found the hymnal through the fabric. I understand. Good. Whenever you're ready, then. He sat down, crossed his legs, pen poised over his scoring sheet. The accompanist, a conservatory student who'd been playing all evening, looked at Zara. Ready? Zara shook her head slightly. No piano, please. The accompanist blinked, looked at the stage manager. The stage manager looked at Damien. Damien leaned into his microphone. You want to sing Puccini a cappella? Yes, sir. A murmur rippled through the audience. Someone in the balcony laughed, short, disbelieving. Damien's smile sharpened. Well, this should be educational. He gestured broadly. The stage is yours. Zara moved to center stage. The spotlight was hot on her face. She could feel 2,000 eyes. Could hear programs rustling. Could sense the anticipation, not the good kind. The kind that comes before a car crash. Before a mistake becomes public. She closed her eyes, found the starting pitch in her head. G sharp, clear as a tuning fork. Her grandmother's voice whispered in her memory. Let the breath carry the sound. Don't push. Let it float. She began. O mio babbino caro. The first phrase was soft, tender. Her Italian pronunciation was careful, not perfect, but honest. The melody curved gently. Her voice was small at first, then grew, not louder, fuller, like a light increasing not in brightness, but in warmth. In the audience, people stopped rustling programs. The second phrase built on the first. Zara's eyes remained closed. She wasn't singing to the judges. Wasn't singing to Damien Cross or the audience or the kids who'd sent her cruel texts. She was singing to the empty sanctuary where her grandmother had taught her, to the worn piano bench, to the pencil marks in a hymnal's margins. The melody climbed. The aria's structure demanded it, higher, more urgent, more desperate. Zara followed the line with absolute precision. No vibrato on the sustained notes, just pure tone. Then came the phrase Damien had warned about. Babbo, pietà, pietà. The high B-flat approached like a summit. Many sopranos breathed before it, took a pause, reset their support. Zara didn't breathe, didn't pause. She opened her throat and let the note emerge, full, resonant, zero strain. It rang through the Jefferson Concert Hall like a bell, clear, sustained, perfect. The sound traveled to the back balcony, filled the space, made the chandeliers hum. At the judges' table, Damien Cross's pen stopped moving. Dr. Voss, sitting in the 10th row, closed her eyes and smiled. Zara held the note for 4 seconds. 5, 6. Then brought it down gently, resolved the phrase, finished the aria with the same tender softness she'd begun with. The final note faded into silence. For a moment, 2 seconds, maybe 3, the hall was completely still. Then someone in the back stood. Then another person. Then a section. Then half the audience rose to their feet, applause building like thunder. Not polite, not obligatory, genuine. Zara opened her eyes. The stage lights blurred. She could see shapes standing, could hear the sound washing over her, could see Mama with both hands over her mouth, tears streaming. And at the judges' table, Damien Cross sat frozen, his face pale, his pen still hovering over the scoring sheet he'd never filled out. The applause continued for 17 seconds, then slowly died. People sat. The hall settled into an expectant hush. Damien Cross stood, took his microphone. His smile was still there, but it had changed. Tighter at the edges, less certain. Well, he said, that was unexpected. A few nervous laughs scattered through the audience. You hit the note, he continued. I'll give you that, though singing a cappella is a bit of a risk, don't you think? Without instrumental support, any pitch deviation becomes quite obvious. He paused. How long have you been studying classical repertoire? I haven't, sir. His eyebrows rose. You haven't? No, sir. So you learned Puccini in, what? A week? 4 days. The murmur in the audience grew louder. Damien's jaw tightened. 4 days. And you expect us to believe you just, taught yourself proper vowel placement? Breath support? Register transitions? He stepped closer to the stage. Who's your vocal coach? Sister Claudette at New Hope Baptist. A church choir director. He said it like a diagnosis. Not a conservatory teacher. Not a private instructor with actual credentials. Zara said nothing. Damien turned to the audience, his voice warm, confiding. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're witnessing something important here. A teachable moment about the difference between raw talent and professional training. Yes, she hit the note. But technique isn't just about hitting notes. It's about consistency, sustainability, artistic maturity. He looked back at Zara. You have potential. I won't deny that. But you're not ready for this level. Not yet. The hall was silent. Zara stood perfectly still under the spotlight, her hands at her sides, her gaze level. Thank you for your feedback, she said quietly. She walked off stage. The audience didn't know whether to clap, so they didn't. In the darkness backstage, Zara leaned against a concrete wall and took one long breath. Could you stand alone before thousands, knowing the truth they refused to see? The final 3 performers sang. None of them attempted anything close to Puccini. None of them hit a high B-flat. The judges deliberated for 12 minutes in a side room while the audience waited in restless silence. Backstage, Zara sat on a metal folding chair. Other finalists clustered in groups, whispering. A few glanced at her. Most didn't. The girl from Briarcrest, number 22, a mezzo who'd sung Schumann, sat down in the chair beside her. That was really good, she said quietly. What you did out there. Thank you. He's scared of you. You know that, right? Zara looked at her. The girl had kind eyes, dark brown, nervous energy. I don't think so, Zara said. I do. My mom's a voice teacher. She was in the audience. She texted me during intermission, said your technique is college level, maybe beyond. The girl stood. I hope you win. Before Zara could respond, the stage manager appeared in the doorway. Finalists, back to the green room. They're announcing results in 5. The group filed back into the main holding area. A monitor on the wall showed the stage, Damien at the microphone, the 2 other judges flanking him, envelopes in hand. The 3rd place winner was announced first, a baritone from Overton High. 2nd place, the soprano who'd sung Pi Jesu. Then Damien opened the final envelope. And our 1st place winner, who will perform at the Winter Gala concert in December. He paused for effect. The camera caught his face, confident, pleased. Jackson Reed from Memphis University School. Applause filled the hall. Jackson, number 14, a tenor with a trust fund and private coaching since age 7, walked onto stage, shook hands with the judges, accepted a small trophy. In the green room, Zara felt nothing. No surprise, no anger, just a quiet settling, like dust after a storm. The girl from Briarcrest swore softly. That's bullshit. Others murmured agreement. A few left immediately, disappointed. Zara stood slowly, folded the chair, started toward the door. Wait. Dr. Helen Voss stood in the doorway. Behind her, a man in his 60s with a gray beard and a lanyard that read Press. This is Martin Chen, Dr. Voss said. He writes for the Memphis Commercial Appeal. He'd like to talk to you. Martin stepped forward, phone in hand. I recorded your performance. With your permission, I'd like to run it alongside a story about tonight. What kind of story? The truth. that the most talented singer in this competition didn't win because she didn't fit the narrative Damian Cross wanted to tell. He glanced at his phone. I've been covering Memphis music for 23 years. I know what I heard. You hit a note that 90% of professionals can't sustain. A cappella. No safety net. He looked at Dr. Voss, then back to Zara. People need to hear this. Zara hesitated. Through the monitor, she could see Damian still on stage, smiling for photographs. What do you need from me? She asked. An interview. 10 minutes. And I need to know about your training. Who taught you? How long? Everything. Zara thought about her grandmother. About the penciled hymnal. About 4 days learning Puccini in an empty church. Okay, she said. Martin Chen smiled. Let's step outside, away from the noise. They left through the backstage exit into Memphis evening air. The real story was just beginning. The article ran on Sunday morning, front page of the arts section. A photograph of Zara on stage, eyes closed, mid-phrase. The headline read, "The voice Damian Cross didn't want you to hear." Martin Chen had written carefully. He described Zara's performance in technical detail, the sustained high B-flat, the breath control, the register transitions. He quoted Dr. Voss. This is conservatory-level technique from a child who's never had formal training. It's extraordinary. He included background about Dorothy Williams, about Juilliard, about Carnegie Hall, about how opportunities disappeared. He also included something else, a link to the full video of Zara's performance, unedited, audio cleaned up by a sound engineer who'd volunteered after hearing about the story. By Sunday evening, the video had 50,000 views. By Monday morning, 200,000. Comments poured in, not from local Memphis accounts, but from voice teachers, opera singers, conservatory students across the country. That breath control is unreal. She's 11? This is what professionals work years to achieve. Why didn't she win? Listen to 123, that's a perfect sustained B-flat. No wobble, no strain. On Tuesday, a classical music blogger with 400,000 followers posted a technical breakdown. She compared Zara's performance to recordings of the same aria by Renee Fleming, Angela Gheorghiu, and Maria Callas. The analysis was meticulous: pitch accuracy, vibrato control, dynamic range, breath management. The conclusion was damning. This 11-year-old girl from Memphis outperformed several professional sopranos on technical execution, and she did it without accompaniment, which makes it even more remarkable. The post went viral. By Wednesday, the story had jumped beyond Memphis. NPR called. So did the New York Times. A classical radio station in Boston played Zara's recording during their morning show. Emails flooded the Jefferson Concert Hall's inbox, some supportive, some angry, all demanding answers. Damian Cross posted a statement on Instagram Wednesday afternoon. I've received many messages about the recent auditions. I want to be clear. Every finalist was evaluated fairly based on established criteria. Zara Williams is a talented young singer with potential. However, potential is not the same as professional readiness. The judges made their decision based on overall artistic merit, stage presence, and technical consistency across all finalists. I wish Zara well in her continued musical education. The post got ratioed immediately. Comment after comment, you couldn't hit that note if your career depended on it. She outsung you, and you know it. Professional readiness, ill code for gatekeeping. Admit you were wrong. On Thursday evening, Zara's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Is this Zara Williams? A woman's voice, professional, warm. Yes, ma'am. My name is Sophia Reeves. I'm a vocal producer at Paramount Records in Nashville. I saw your performance. I'd like to talk to you and your mother about something. Are you free this weekend? Zara sat on her bed, the hymnal in her lap. Outside, Memphis traffic hummed. Marcus and David were arguing about video games in the next room. Mama was cooking dinner. "Yes, ma'am," Zara said. "We're free." Saturday, 2 p.m. The Jefferson Concert Hall again, but this time a different room. Not the main stage. A smaller performance space used for chamber concerts, seating 200. It was packed. Sophia Reeves had arranged everything. She'd contacted Martin Chen, Dr. Voss, Sister Claudette. She'd reached out to local media, classical music journalists, voice teachers from 3 states. She'd posted on social media, "Come hear what you missed." Zara stood backstage with Mama. Through a gap in the curtain, she could see the audience. The front row held music professors from Rhodes College and the University of Memphis. The second row, journalists with recording equipment. Scattered throughout. Families from her neighborhood, people from New Hope Baptist, kids from her school. And in the back, standing against the wall because there were no seats left, Damian Cross. He'd arrived 10 minutes ago. Alone. No entourage, no photographers. He wore jeans and a black jacket, trying to blend in. It didn't work. Sophia appeared beside Zara. "You don't have to do this." "I know. But if you do, sing exactly what you want. Not for him, not for anyone out there. For yourself." Zara nodded. The house lights dimmed. Sophia walked onto the small stage, microphone in hand. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I'm not going to make a speech. You're not here for speeches. You're here because you saw a video, because you heard something true, because you want to witness it again." She gestured toward the wings. "Zara Williams." Applause. Warm, expectant. Zara walked onto the stage. The lights were gentler here, warmer. She could see faces clearly. Mama in the third row, hands clasped. Marcus and David beside her. Sister Claudette with tears already forming. And in the back, Damian. His face unreadable. "I'm going to sing 2 songs, Zara said quietly. No microphone needed. The acoustics carried her voice. "First, O mio babino caro, the one I sang last Friday." She closed her eyes, found the pitch, began. This time was different. Not better. The technical execution on Friday had been nearly perfect. But this time she sang without fear, without the weight of judgment, without caring about scores or trophies or who thought she belonged. The high B-flat came. She held it. 6 seconds, 7, 8. Let it ring until the room seemed to vibrate with it. When she finished, the silence lasted longer than applause. 3 full seconds where nobody moved. Then the room exploded. People stood. Someone whistled. A professor in the front row wiped his eyes. Zara waited for it to quiet. "The second song," she said, "is His Eye is on the Sparrow. The one Damian Cross stopped me from finishing." She found the starting pitch. Let the first phrase float into the room, gentle, unaccompanied, honest. And this time, nobody stopped her. The song filled every corner, reached every listener, told the story her grandmother had told before her. That grace sounds like truth, that beauty doesn't need permission, that some voices carry weight beyond measure. When the final note faded, the silence was absolute. The standing ovation lasted 90 seconds. Zara stood on stage, hands at her sides, letting it wash over her. When it finally quieted, Sophia returned to the microphone. "Before we close, someone has asked to speak." She paused. "Damian Cross." The room went silent. A different kind of silence, sharp, tense. Damian walked slowly from the back of the hall, every step audible. He climbed onto the stage. Sophia handed him the microphone, then stepped back. He faced the audience, not Zara. "I came here today because I needed to hear it again." His voice was quiet, none of the performance, none of the charm. "I needed to confirm what I suspected on Friday night." He turned to Zara. You're better than me. The room held its breath. Not potentially better. Not with more training better. Better. Right now. At 11 years old. He looked back at the audience. I've spent 15 years building a career. I've studied with the best teachers. I've performed in Europe, recorded 3 albums, won awards I thought mattered. He stopped, swallowed. And last Friday, I stood at that judge's table and watched an 11-year-old girl do something I've never been able to do. She sustained a high B-flat for 6 seconds without accompaniment, without strain, without breaking pitch. I can't do that. I've tried. I've worked with coaches. I've practiced for hours. I physically cannot produce that sound. Someone in the 3rd row started to clap. Damien held up a hand. Please don't applaud. I'm not here for redemption. I'm here because I owe this girl, his voice cracked slightly, an apology that I don't know how to give. He turned fully toward Zara now. I saw you and I was scared. Scared that you were young and black and from a church nobody's heard of. Scared that you didn't fit the story I'd been telling about talent and training and who deserves opportunities. Scared that if you were this good without everything I'd had, then what did that say about me? Zara stood very still. So I dismissed you. I humiliated you. I used my platform to make you small because making you small made me feel bigger. Damien's hands were shaking slightly. And then you sang anyway, and the world heard what I tried to hide. He paused. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that I was wrong. Completely, unforgivably wrong. He set the microphone down on the stage floor, started to walk away. Mr. Cross? Zara's voice stopped him, quiet but clear. Thank you for saying that. He turned. She was looking at him now directly. But I didn't sing to prove you wrong, she said. I sang because my grandmother taught me that some things are true whether anyone admits them or not. And the truth is, she paused, you have a gift too. You've made beautiful music. You've inspired people. What you did to me was wrong. But that doesn't erase everything else. Damien's eyes were wet. He nodded once. Couldn't speak. He left the stage without looking back. Sophia took the microphone. The Memphis Conservatory is offering Zara Williams a full scholarship, housing included, starting next fall if she and her family choose to accept. She smiled. And Paramount Records would like to discuss a development deal. No pressure, no rush, just a conversation. The room erupted again. 3 months later, the Memphis Conservatory announced a new initiative, the Unbreakable Voices Scholarship Program. Full funding for students from underserved communities who demonstrated exceptional musical ability but lacked access to formal training. No application fees. No requirement for previous private lessons. Auditions held in community centers, churches, public schools. Dr. Helen Voss directed the program. Sister Claudette joined the selection committee. The first round of auditions drew 300 applicants from across Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Damien Cross donated the entire purse from his next 3 concerts, $180,000, to fund the program's first year. He didn't make a public announcement, didn't post about it, just sent the check with a handwritten note. For the voices I almost silenced. The story had changed something in Memphis. Not everything, not quickly, but cracks had formed in old walls. A black music teacher at Whitehaven High received funding for a proper recording studio. A Vietnamese girl from Fraser got accepted to Berkeley on full scholarship after her subway violin video went viral. A boy from Orange Mound with perfect pitch and cerebral palsy was invited to work with the Memphis Symphony's youth program. The Jefferson Concert Hall revised its audition policies. Anonymous preliminary screenings, diverse judging panels, community representatives with voting power. The Winter Gala concert that December featured 5 performers instead of 1, including Zara, who sang O Mio Babino Caro with the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. She wore the navy dress, the same one. Mama had offered to buy new, but Zara refused. She wanted to remember where she'd started. The performance was live-streamed. 400,000 people watched. When she held the high B-flat, this time for 9 seconds, with full orchestral support, the comments section exploded. She's only 11 and singing like this. That's what real talent sounds like. I'm a vocal coach, and I'm in tears. This is why gatekeeping in classical music needs to end. After the concert, a reception. Donors in suits, board members with wine glasses, musicians in formal wear. Zara stood near the dessert table with Marcus and David, who were loading plates with cookies. A woman approached, early 40s, elegant, wearing a university pin. Zara Williams? Yes, ma'am. I'm Professor Angela Morrison. I teach ethnomusicology at Yale. She handed Zara a business card. I'm researching the oral tradition of gospel music training, how knowledge passes from generation to generation outside formal institutions. Your grandmother's story, your story, it's important. Would you be willing to talk sometime? For the record? Zara took the card. What kind of record? Academic. Historical. So that 50 years from now, when someone studies American music, they'll know that genius existed in places people weren't looking. That the absence of formal credentials never meant the absence of mastery. Zara nodded slowly. My grandmother would have liked that. I think so too. The professor left. Marcus handed Zara a cookie. You're famous now. I'm not famous. 400,000 people just watched you sing. That's not the same as famous. What is it then? Zara thought for a moment. Around them, the reception continued. Laughter, conversation, the clink of glasses. Through the windows, Memphis stretched out under December stars. Somewhere in the city, other kids were learning to sing in churches nobody photographed. Other grandmothers were teaching in rooms nobody recorded. It's a door opening, Zara said. For more than just me. Marcus grinned. That's even better. She smiled. Yeah, it is. 5 years later. Zara sat in a recording studio in Nashville, headphones on, listening to the final mix of her debut album. Not a major label release. She'd turned down 3 offers that wanted to market her as a prodigy, as a sensation, as the girl who'd overcome. She'd signed instead with an independent label that let her tell her own story. The album was called Pencil Marks. 12 songs, half in English, half in Italian. Gospel influences woven through classical structures, every track credited properly. Composer, arranger, producer, each name standing equal. On the liner notes, a dedication. For Dorothy Williams, who taught me that truth is a sound you can't edit. A journalist from NPR sat across from her. Young woman, kind eyes, recording equipment between them. What changed your life? She asked. Was it the viral video, the scholarship, the performance? Zara thought carefully. She was 16 now, taller, voice deeper but still crystalline. She still attended New Hope Baptist every Sunday, still helped Marcus and David with homework, still lived in the same apartment, though Mama had finally been able to afford new furniture. Not my voice, Zara said. The moment I chose not to lie. The journalist leaned forward. What do you mean? That night at Jefferson Hall, I could have made myself smaller. Could have apologized for taking up space. Could have pretended Damian Cross was right, that I wasn't ready, wasn't good enough, didn't belong. She paused. But I knew what I could do. My grandmother knew. Sister Claudette knew. And lying about that, pretending it wasn't true, would have been worse than losing. And now? Now I get letters from kids who sing in churches, in temples, in their bedrooms, kids who've been told they're not the right kind of talented. And I tell them what my grandmother told me. The truth doesn't need permission to exist. It just needs someone brave enough to let it be heard. The journalist smiled. That's beautiful. It's not beautiful. It's necessary. Outside the studio, Nashville traffic hummed. Somewhere in Memphis, the Unbreakable Voices program was holding its spring auditions. Somewhere, another kid was learning that their voice mattered, that their gift was real, that closed doors weren't walls, just obstacles that could be opened by those who refused to stay silent. Zara removed her headphones. Are we done? One more question. What do you want people to take from your story? Zara looked at the journalist directly. That talent can come from anywhere, and that when you find it, you have two choices: make space for it, or get out of the way. The interview ended. The album released 2 weeks later. It didn't top charts, didn't go platinum, but it sold steadily, quietly, to listeners who needed to hear that their stories mattered too. On the wall of their apartment, Mama had framed something new, a photo from the Winter Gala, Zara mid-note, and beneath it, the handwritten line from the album dedication. Truth is a sound you can't edit. The community that had raised Zara, New Hope Baptist, Sister Claudette, the neighbors who'd watched her grow, they understood what the music industry was still learning. That excellence doesn't require permission. That genius exists in overlooked places. That the next voice that changes everything might be singing right now in a room nobody's recorded. Will you recognize the next silenced voice before they have to prove themselves to the world? Share this story. Support music programs in underserved communities. Listen to the voices you've been taught to ignore.
At Black Voices Uncut Plus, we don't soften the emotion or dilute the message. We tell powerful fictional stories inspired by real-world themes. If today's story moved you, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for the next Uncut Voice.